everybody. This is Mike Burrows from Fortis Digital, and I'm here to give you just a weekly top-down look at what's going on in the crypto markets. So first thing you're going to see here is I like to start out from a really high 30,000 foot view. And so what we're looking at here is the rate of the 10-year treasury, because everything in finance is really dictated by what's happening with the 10-year treasury. So if you look at it here, the rate on the treasury, on the 10-year, has been going up really over the past year pretty aggressively and is in a really strong confirmed uptrend. What's interesting though is that it did start to break down through a bunch of these moving averages earlier this week. However, it did hold this support line here from these prior lows and has now bounced pretty aggressively. You can see down here in what we call the MACD, which is a measure of how overbought or oversold something is based on where the moving averages are relative to each other. It's creating a similar formation to what it did around here as well as back here, which were both areas where it began to go higher, started to move higher from there. So something to pay attention to see if this is able to break out and start a new leg higher. If it does, that is likely negative for high-tech growth stocks as well as crypto. So let's also take a look at the dollar. When we look at the dollar index, this is also in a very strong uptrend, which has historically been pretty negative for Bitcoin. And if you look at if we go to the weekly chart, look at a real long-term chart here, it's broken out of this big resistance that it had in this area and has now moved aggressively higher. So again, another negative for crypto as well as for international growth type stocks, any companies that have revenue overseas, now that when they convert it back to US dollars, it's going to be worth less. So this could impact corporate earnings as we go into Q2, which if it's negative for stocks, it'll likely be negative for crypto. Good news is if you're traveling to Europe or something, that now all of a sudden it's substantially cheaper because the conversion rate to the euro, I think I saw, is like 94 or something like that. When I looked the other day. Let's take a look at the S&P here. What's interesting in the S&P is that if you take a step back to where we started to peak out near the end of last year, the market started to break in here right in the first couple of weeks of the year, and it created a lower low here, a lower high, another lower low, and then it had a really powerful rally in March that actually created a higher high, but it failed. And as it started to come back down, create another lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. But then here we actually had a higher low. So this is a change of composure that I think is worth interesting that's interesting and worth paying attention to. You also have the S&P is beginning to break above these shorter term moving averages, the 9 and the 21-day moving average. So it has not made a higher high yet, even though it did make a higher low. It's coming up into this resistance area. So we'll see if this is able to push higher and continue more of a bull leg, a constructive bullish sequence here. But this is the big area to pay attention to here, right around 390 on the spiders. Let's take a look also at the NASDAQ, because as you know, crypto is highly correlated with technology stocks. And so similar pattern on the NASDAQ to the S&P. And again, we had a higher low here, and now this is back above these short-term moving averages and is trying to push up this way into this resistance area. So we'll see if it's able to push through there. Nothing definitive yet, but there's some changes from this pattern we've had over the last 6-7 months. Also like to look at the software index, because crypto is ultimately, it's all software. And so it tends to be very highly correlated with software stocks. So if you take a look at the software index here, what's interesting is it pretty much did not make a lower low when the S&P and the NASDAQ did. So it kind of outperformed in this area when everything came down mid-June and made a lower low. Software stocks did not. It came up, it did make a higher low and is back above these moving averages and is challenging this downtrend line here, and then will ultimately hopefully challenge this higher high here, this area of resistance. So again, we're starting to get some signs that things could be maybe not bottom for good, but are potentially in a more bullish active sequence for maybe the month of July or until we get into Q2 corporate earnings. ARK Innovation Fund is also highly correlated with crypto because it's high growth tech, right? Like this is hyper growth tech stocks that are in this fund that's run by Kathy Wood. And what's fascinating about this is it actually did not make a lower low, similar to the software index, but even more pronounced. It actually made a higher low, made another higher low, and this has been a big resistance area right in here for the last couple months, and it is challenging it right now, looking like it's going to break out. So we'll see where this closes today, but it's looking like this is potentially a breakout or close to it in the next day or two of this area. If it reverses, comes back down here, all bets are off. But again, this is looking pretty constructive, I would say, right now. So let's also take a look at the total market cap of crypto. So this is all crypto that's publicly traded. TradingView has this total symbol, which is the total market cap of all of crypto, which is down from 3 trillion back in November to under 1 trillion now. So it's been just a massive bear market that we've seen. Also looking pretty constructive. So this has made a higher low here and is now getting back above these moving averages. If we look at it without Bitcoin in it, very similar look, and without Ethereum, similar as well. However, I would say it even looks stronger. When I look at a lot of the altcoin charts compared to Bitcoin, most of them are actually back above a lot of their moving averages. Whereas Bitcoin is above its 8-day moving average, which I can show you here, or its 9-day moving average, but it's still below this 21-day. So there's a number of altcoins that have broken through this high and are now up in this area, challenging their 50-day moving average, whereas Bitcoin is still stuck down here. So taking a look at Bitcoin, this is going to be an area of resistance about 21,800, and it has broken out of kind of, if you draw a little downtrend line here, today it's breaking out of this downward, usually this is a bearish pennant, where it goes in this formation like it did up here and then breaks through to the downside. But it looks like it's breaking to the upside this time, which again is another bullish confirmation, bullish divergence. But we'll see. The day is not over. We got another 7 hours left, so before this candle closes. So we'll see if it closes above it, or whether it reverses at some point later today. But again, another bullish sign that things look like they're potentially improving, at least for potentially the next few weeks. Bitcoin dominance. This is the percentage of total market cap that is Bitcoin. So it had this huge run as we got into May and June, because people were leaving the altcoin space after the Lunatera collapse, and we're going into Bitcoin. But what's interesting is mid-June here, all of a sudden Bitcoin dominance fell apart, and there's been just a huge decline in Bitcoin dominance, and it continues to look like this is maybe moving in a downward. It's held this area here a couple times, but it's now below all these moving averages. And it's looking quite a bit more bearish. So typically when Bitcoin dominance is coming down, that's actually bullish for crypto in general and bullish for altcoins, because it means money is moving into altcoins, which are more speculative, which means people are more positive, more bullish on the space. You can also see in the Bitcoin ETH chart that this had a huge run, very similar to Bitcoin dominance, where people were moving into Bitcoin out of Ethereum. And now it looks like that has potentially rolled over. And now it looks like Ethereum is going to maybe outperform Bitcoin for a period of time here. And maybe this will come back down into this area. So there's a lot of different things that are lining up that are looking like we're potentially entering a bullish active sequence. But we'll have to watch it. We don't know for sure yet. The volume on this rally has not been, in Bitcoin has not been amazing. It's been a little bit low. It's been better in some certain altcoins. You've definitely seen some higher volume on the rally in certain altcoins, but in Bitcoin it's been a little bit anemic. So that doesn't give me a lot of confidence that the rally is going to hold. So again, just a lot of different things to pay attention to. Nothing really confirmed yet. I wouldn't say we're in a confirmed new uptrend at all yet, but we're starting to get some signs that that could potentially be on the horizon. So, but you know, from a macro perspective, there's a lot of negativity out there. There's a lot of issues with the economy. Obviously, inflation's continuing to run hot. Corporate earnings are coming out in a couple weeks. I can't imagine they're going to be stellar, given everything that's happening out there in the economy. So a lot of headwinds from a macro perspective, but you know, we were incredibly oversold. So when you look at a long-term chart of Bitcoin, this is a weekly chart. The distance between where Bitcoin is and the 9-week moving average is huge. So it's had a short-term move that is extreme. And so a lot of times you will get, once you have a really extreme move with a big gap between short-term moving averages, you will get some kind of rally up into, you know, a resistance area. So I would not be surprised at all to see that, if that were to happen, where we'd have some kind of multi-week rally to maybe 25K or so on Bitcoin. You can see on the long-term MACD, which measures overbought, oversoldness. You know, it's definitely oversold. It looks like it's close to turning up, which usually, you know, results in multi-week rallies. So again, nothing definitive yet, but a lot of signs are pointing to we could be entering, you know, a period for this month where maybe we have a positive month for once. We haven't had a great month in crypto since March, so July could be a positive month for crypto. We'll see, and we're paying attention to all this stuff. But if you want to be invested in crypto, if this is something that's interesting to you, feel free to reach out to us. We spend a lot of time looking at all this stuff, analyzing the companies and the different tokens that are out there. So we manage a crypto fund, and we help people do this so that they don't have to do it on their own. This is what we do all day long. So you can outsource it to us, and we'll do it for you. All right. Thanks, guys.